This is section 8.6, consumer loans. It's the last section for chapter 8. So your next test is just on chapter 8. So we're going to compute the monthly payments for an add-on interest loan for 2110 with an annual interest rate of 10% and a term of 4 years. If it says add-on interest, that means we're going to go back to the beginning and we're going to use simple interest. Okay. So we need to find the total amount that you're going to pay back for this loan. So the amount that we're borrowing is 2110. Our rate is 10%. So again, we're converting that to a decimal. And that's going to be for 4 years. So let's put that in the calculator. Hit escape. All right, so the total amount that we're paying back is $2,954. What they want you to find are the monthly payments. So if the total amount you're paying back is $2,954, how many monthly payments are you making? This is for 4 years. It's going to be 48 monthly payments. And round to the nearest dollar, so $61.54. Helen takes out an add-on interest loan. So again, we see add-on interest. That tells me simple interest for a new laptop for $2,500 with an annual interest rate of 6.7% for 3 years. What are her monthly payments? Let's put this in. $3,002.50. That's the total amount that she's going to pay back for this loan. So what will we do from this point to figure out what her monthly payments are? She's going to be making payments every month. Sorry about that. For 3 years. So we're going to divide that by 36. So our monthly payments are going to be $83.40. Angela's bank gives her a 6-year add-on interest, again, simple interest, for $48.50 to pay for new equipment for her antiques restoration business. The annual interest rate is 4.75%. How much interest will she pay and what are her monthly payments? We have 2 parts. So for this one, let's just figure out the interest. Our rate is 0.0475. That's going to be for 6 years. Let me double check my numbers. Flip back over 4756. All right, so the total amount of just the interest is $1382.25. So that is the interest. But watch how the question is worded. It may ask you for payments first. It may ask you for the interest first. Just make a note of that. So then what are her monthly payments? How will we figure that out? we're going to add the $48.50, that's the loan amount, plus the interest. That's going to give me the total amount that she's going to pay back. And then we're going to divide that by what? It's 6 years. It's monthly payments. So 6 times 12 is 72. So monthly payments are $86.56. And that is the payment. Mike's Bank gives him a loan for a new bone in the amount of $23,000. The annual interest rate is 5% for a term of 6 years. How much interest will he pay? And what are his monthly payments? So same process here. The amount that he borrows times the rate for the number of years. So let's figure out what the interest is. So 6,900. That's the interest that he's going to pay on this loan. So we take the loan amount. We're going to add the interest. The bank has to make its money. And we're going to divide by what? This is monthly for 6 years. Right, make a note here. This is the interest. Divide it by 72 to find our monthly payments. Right, that one wants to keep it as a fraction. Let's convert that to decimal. $415.28 will be the monthly payment on that boat. All right, so these last 4 questions, it's 2 different methods to find the finance charge on a credit card. The first one is the unpaid balance method, and we're going to do 2 of these. So we have last month's balance, which was $475. All right, the interest rate, this is an annual interest rate, is 18%. And we need to figure out the interest for the previous month. So we're going to divide that by 12. I'm just going to do these on my little calculator. So we're dealing with money. So always, as you're going through these problems, round to the nearest cent. That's 2 decimal places. I've worked all these problems, so it works rounding to the nearest cent. So for instance, this one is 7.125. So we're going to round to 7.13. That's your finance charge for the previous month. So think about that credit card. It has a balance of $475. There's a finance charge of $7.13 for the previous month. What does that do to the balance of the card? What does it do to how much you owe the credit card company? It's going to increase your balance. Now, if you make a payment on the credit card, what does that do to the balance? It decreases it. If you use the credit card and you buy that ski jacket for $180, what does that do to the balance on the card? It increases the balance. It increases what you owe the credit card company. And then if you return a camera that was bought with this card, they will credit that $145 back to your account. So what would that do to the balance on the card? It would decrease it. Students often get a little confused as far as what things increase or decrease the balance. So if you're a little thrown off on this first one, you're not the first and you probably won't be the last. but you'll get it. Just using my little calculator here for this. So the new balance at the end of the month is $292.13. They want to know what is the finance charge. So we're going to take that, multiply it by the annual interest rate, divided by 12 to get monthly interest. Or the monthly finance charge, which is $4.38. That is the answer they are looking for. Let's do another one just like this. And again, if you want to try this question and then, pause the video, try the question, and then go through with my work and see if you got it correct. This would be a good time to try this. All right, we have an interest rate of 21%. The beginning balance was $12.50. So we can compute the finance charge for the previous month. Which is $21.88 when I round to the nearest cent. All right, our balance was $12.50. What is the finance charge due to the balance? It increases the balance. All right, then you purchase a new Xbox for $500. What does that do to the balance? It increases it. You purchase clothes for $246. What does that do? Increases it. You return shoes that you paid $102 for. So if you're returning them, what does that do? Decreases the balance. And then you make a payment of $350. What does that do to the balance? It decreases it. All right. So throw all this in the calculator. So our new balance is $1565.88. 4, 8. All right. So we need to calculate the finance charge. So we multiply by the interest rate, which is 21%, divided by 12, because we just need the monthly finance charge, which is going to be $27.40. So that is the answer they're looking for in my math lab. So this one uses the balance at the end of the month, the unpaid balance, to determine your finance charge. These next two use a different method, using the average daily balance method, which is different. So we're going to construct a little chart. This is for the month of September. It's the first of the month, the 11th, 18th, and the 23rd. All right, at the beginning of the month, you have a balance of $240. Now, on September 11th, there's a $60 credit. A credit decreases your balance. A credit is like a payment, or a return would also be considered a credit. All right, so we're going to subtract 60 from 240. It's going to decrease our balance to 180. Then you charge $18 or $24 for iTunes download, so that's going to increase our balance. And then you charge $12 for gasoline, which will also increase our balance. All right. So we need to figure out from the first, now on the 11th, the balance changed to 180. So the 1st through the 10th, the balance was $240. So for the first 10 days of the month, the balance was $240. And then from, someone probably already caught this, the 11th through the 18th, doesn't include the 18th, it's only through the 17th. So if you were to count that on your fingers, 11 through 17, that's going to be 7 days. From 18th to the 23rd, so that's 20, should be 5. And there are 30 days in September. So this is where you have to be careful. I'll just put a note here. So it looks like you can see a pattern here. 11 minus 1 is 10, 18 minus 11 is 7, 23 minus 18 is 5, 30 minus 23 is 7, but you need to add in the last day. So that's going to be 8. If you add this column up here, that's going to sum up to 30. Okay. It should sum up to 30. 20, 30 days in September. 17, 7, 8. Let me add these up on my calculator just to double check. Or it is 30. All right, so this column adds up to 30 days. Essentially, when you subtract 30 and 23, you get 7, but you're going to have to add 1 day back. So if you count out from 23 to 30 on your fingers, you will get 8 days. From there, we're going to multiply across. And then we're going to add down that column on the right. So it's 2,400 plus 1,260 plus 1,020 plus the 1,728. So, and you don't have to draw this out. So if you have a little calendar for September, the balance was 240 for 10 days. And then whatever day it changed to 180. And then it was 180 for 7 days. And then it was 204 for 5 days. And it was 216 for the rest of the month. If you were to add all those numbers up for every day of the month, this is where the 6408 comes from. Okay. Now the total for all 30 days of the month was 6408. So how do you figure out the average daily balance for September? You're going to divide it by 30 because there are 30 days in September. So the average daily balance is $213.60. And if you look at our balances, they run low end from 180 to 240. So it should be somewhere in the middle. From here, we need to figure out the finance charge. This one's done a little bit differently. So we still have the annual interest rate of 18%. But instead of dividing by 12, because there are different days and different months, September has 30 days out of 365 days of the year. So you can put that on your calculator like that. Finance charge is $3.16. Again, we're rounding to the nearest cent. And our last one for this section and for chapter 8, we're still using the average daily balance method. And this is for August and it has 31 days. first of the month. And then we look at the table and we can see what days things are changing. I just put 8/31 down here. So our starting balance is the $280. On August the 5th, we made a payment of $75. So what does that do to your balance? It decreases it. Then we charged $150 for hiking boots. So what does that do to the balance of the car? It increases it. Then we charged $65 for gasoline, $56. Just pay attention, it's $4.11. And then we charged $32 for a meal. So that's $443. All right, so 5 minus 1 is 4. 15 minus 5 is 10. 21 minus 15 is 6. 24 minus 21 is 3. And then 31 minus 24 is 7. We still need to add a day, so that's going to be 8. So again, you can add this column up. It should sum up to 31. It does. Okay. So if you're working this problem, most students, their error is right here. And that day is usually off. They forget to add back that last day. So now we're going to multiply across. 280 times 4. Okay. And then we're going to add down. So add the 1120 plus 2050 plus 2130 plus 1233 plus 3544 gives me 10,077. I'm going to re-add that real quick. Okay. All right, so that's all the daily balances added up together. So the average we would find by dividing by 31. Which is $325.06. So now I need to find the finance charge. The interest rate is 23%. But with the average daily balance, we're not going to divide by 12. We're going to multiply by 31 over 365. Let me make that a little bit neater. So put all that in. So that finance charge is $6.35. And that is the end of section 8.6 and for chapter 8. Please, I'm going to just remind you, you need to study a little bit more for this test than you would for the other exams. So just go through a review maybe one more extra time than you normally would.